Okay, today we are playing a Scrim game on Oasis. We are also starting the game slightly in, as you might notice. This is the earliest point in the video, just so everybody knows. We're also on flowfeedback.com, so you'll see some messages on the other side, which we're largely not going to address because they, let me show you. They get quite long, so we're going to largely not worry about those ones too much. Basically, I largely agree with them, so there you go. Also, we don't have a hero for today's game, so we can just side with not communism, because the person that sent me the video has a stake in both teams, because they're the head coach of one and the head manager of another. So we've got no hero today. We'll pick our own, which is going to be the boys in blue. So let's look at the team comps, before seeing as we've gotten all that out of the way now. So the boys in blue have gone for a pretty boring 2-2-2. They've gone with Reinhardt Diva, which is not typically the combo of tanks you would go with. It's not the worst. It's not exactly the best either. It's just fine. And the Red Menace has largely gone with goats, but they've put a Sombra in there as opposed to a third healer. So it would work out better if the enemy team, if the boys in blue were also running goats, because Sombra is the counter to goats. So that would work out better if they expected them to run goats back at them, which later on we'll get to see some exciting goat-on-goat action, which will be simply riveting, I'm sure. Anyway, so all that out of the way. I ain't got much to say about either team, to be honest with you, besides that, so let's just start. So that's very long. Don't worry about it too much. There was also a drawing. So this is going to be very distracting, actually, isn't it? Because look at that. Just look at that. It's okay. There are not that many messages on the timeline. It's very front-loaded, which I've noticed is often a thing on this website, where people will be really vocal for the first round of the video, and then not so much after that one. So it's all very front-loaded, don't worry. I know it's a little distracting right now. So we've started mid-fight. Both teams are just kind of fighting it out right now. They did manage to pick, the boys in blue have managed to pick off Diva and Moira on the enemy team, so that's very exciting for them. They've started getting the upper hand. Then they get the Sombra as well. Lucio drops the beat. And the Red Menace, they're not exactly looking particularly good in this team fight, though it evens out a little bit later. So Diva decides to go for this bomb, and the fight's been over for the Red Menace for quite a while, basically from this point in time, even a little bit earlier than that if we're wholly realistic. Like, basically now, half the team is dead and coming back, so fight's pretty much over at this point. And it only really gets worse from that point on. See, everybody's dying. There goes Zyra. And then, still, we decide to go for the self-destruct. Now, the self-destruct actually manages to get 2 people, so great job, I guess. And the Red Menace, not to spoil the surprise too much, they're actually going to end up winning. They're going to end up winning this fight in the end anyway, because they actually managed to regroup in time to push the boys in blue off. So it is an example of a poorly timed ultimate working out, so that's great, but still shouldn't have gone for the ultimate all the same, because the fight was pretty much over. That's the worst thing, though, isn't it? It's like, well, it worked, so obviously it was the correct play. You're not wrong, but it was very unlikely to be the correct play, so we should have just saved the resources for the next team fight instead, that we had a better chance of winning. So, Farah has just skated by. This is, you know, every time we watch a Scrim game, there's always something to say about the camera, isn't there? And we're going to have something to say about the camera later, too, as well. But, you know, just, there's a fight happening off-screen. You know, whatever, it's fine. You know, let me just send this message. Oh, it didn't format it correctly. Oh, shit, the fight's over. Oh, no. Oh, look, it's already over. Oh, God. Oh, now we're gonna open up this, too. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's all in moon runes, we can't even read it anyway. So anyway, the boys in blue lost the fight, is the moral of the story. How exactly they lost the fight is a slight mystery to us, but they lost the fight, and that's kind of all that matters. So the boys in blue are, not exact. Who did that guy just change to? Who was Lykel a second ago? Because he just changed to McCree. He was Tracer a second ago. So doubling down on more of a standard comp, pretty much. I mean, even if it was Tracer, it was still a standard comp, but basically just very, well-rounded team, pretty much. Kind of the Mario of team compositions. Doesn't really do much exceedingly well, doesn't do much exceedingly wrong. So the point of this one of the ones that we'll actually address, is basically talking about what the boys in blue could do to try and resist the dive, pretty much, because basically doubling down on the win condition to stay far away until picks are established. I keep thinking about what would be a better comp to take down this. Maybe a Mei to split the Winston, D.Va, and Lucio from the rest of the Red Menace once they've committed resources into killing someone on the boys in blue. And I don't know that there's that much more you could really do to the boys in blue's team comp to really protect them against it. You could try doubling down on the Pharah a little bit more and change one of the healers to Mercy, because then Mercy gets to have the benefit of hanging out with the Pharah in the sky and is largely unaffected by the most of the enemy heroes on the Red Menace at that point, so Mercy just kind of gets to be safe in that regard. You could try changing, like, Reaper or to McCree to Reaper, because then when because they're very dive-centric comp still, because they've got Winston, D.Va. You pick Reaper to protect against those. They also have the 3 tanks. Reaper would largely not be as affected by this team comp as he would be by standard goats, because they don't have that much movement displacement going on, because they've basically got Boop, they've got Hack, and then they got Primal Rage, I guess, and D.Va's boost, so he would largely not be affected by the usual problem that Reaper would have against that kind of comp, because they're largely people. Reaper's just good at fighting. You could try picking Sombra on the boys in blue as well, because the Red Menace is running close to goats with Sombra on it, so Sombra counters goats. You could put Sombra over there to try and just disrupt them at that point. There's a few different things you could do, and it would largely just amount to whatever your team is most comfortable playing, I think. I personally would go for the Reaper, but that's just because I'm very comfortable with Reaper, pretty much, so perhaps there's some personal bias in there. Mei would also work to split people off, as said before. Mei just being very disruptive to people that want to get in your face, so that's all also could work out. There's a few different routes you could take, all largely kind of going for the same thing, just kind of like protecting against the people that get dove on, and it would mostly just matter what the players are comfortable playing. So the Red Menace elects to combo self-destruct and Emp over there, and manages to get a few people. The message over there is a little bit like, hey, you could have waited a little bit longer and gotten an extra couple of seconds on it. That's not incorrect that we could have waited for them to get closer to the point, but simultaneously, I would just like to say, if you see an opportunity to combo your ultimates and it's pretty good, maybe don't like decide not to go for the opportunity you see, because you might get an even better one like 3 seconds from now. If you've gotten a good opportunity to combo your ultimates, don't wait for an excellent opportunity to combo your ultimates, In this situation, I think you could have waited a little bit more to go for it, but, it's just the kind of advice I think you could take too far in the opposite direction as well, because you don't want to sacrifice good opportunities for the sake of finding excellent opportunities, because the good opportunity is usually good enough. So this was a very surprising section to me when I played it through earlier, because I was really surprised when Reinhardt died right here, because he kind of doesn't have any reason to. It's, because it's not like the Red Menace does a huge amount of damage or anything like that. Looks like what largely happened was Reinhardt got too overzealous, lost half his health right here, backs up, but Winston's bubble's been line of sighting Ana this entire time, so she hasn't been able to heal him, and now, by the time she's actually got Reinhardt in a position where she can heal him again, he's low enough that they just managed to finish him off regardless. So I was very surprised when he died here earlier on, because it doesn't look like it's that good for the Red Menace right at the start, because Winston is going for a questionable maneuver where he's basically trying to front line right now and just kind of like fight them straight up right here at the choke point, which is not what Winston's good at. Now, he does have Zarya backing him up, because he's put the bubble down, you know, putting in the choke point's not great. He's got the bubble on him, so, you know, he can go in here and just kind of, like, fight it out, get the bubble taken off, and then jump away. But it didn't look like a great opportunity. Like, it looked like it was not going that well for the Red Menace, but Reinhardt being just slightly too overzealous and running off ahead of his team, line of sighting his healers, led to him dying. So suddenly now it looks much more in the Red Menace's favor, because Winston actually, and you know, that's really fucking long. Winston has actually not taken much damage during any of these. He's half health right now, but they don't actually manage to finish the kill on Winston or anything. So all that actually has happened is the boys in blue lost their main tank right at the start. Pharah's got her ultimate right now, so that's cool, but she's gotten hacked. And then she gets finished off not long after that as well. And then it all starts falling apart. The boys in blue have all got to rush on to the point regardless at this point, because they're in overtime. And they've got some ultimates to use. Lucio got hacked right there. That's very sad for him. This actually ends up, you're going to be surprised, the outcome on this fight. So remember how Pharah's got her ultimate? Pharah manages to wipe the enemy team. And then Reinhardt manages to get back in time, use Earth Shatter, and they manage to clear off the rest of the Red Menace. So Pharah just saved the game by just very sick ultimate. She did it. Great job, Pharah. So now the boys in blue, finally, they've managed to get control of the objective. Now, they did have to use a lot of ultimates to do it, so they're definitely not looking good coming into the next fight, because the Red Menace, they got 2 ultimates right now, and they're about to have 4 ultimates, whereas the boys in blue have got 1 ultimate, close to having 2 ultimates. So, and the Red Menace, one of their ultimates, Graviton. So, it's not looking good for the boys in blue all the same, but they have managed to get control of the point, so they've managed to get somewhere here. So, Ana's really far back over here. Lucio got hacked, and Lucio, very easy to kill once he's been hacked. The team could have tried a little bit harder to help him once he got hacked. Reinhardt could try and swing over, put the barrier in front of him. D.Va could try and go on defense matrix in front of him. I don't agree with the comment over there to nano him. I don't like nanoing Lucio in this situation to try and keep him alive, because right now, Nano is one of our only ultimates that we've got to use on this fight, and we're going into it with an ultimate disadvantage. So I would rather Ana uses the Nano boost on somebody who is likely to get kills. I would rather she use it on either of the tanks, maybe the McCree for Deadeye, Pharah. I don't like using it to keep Lucio alive, because to me, the only way that we foreseeably win this fight is Nano Boost does a lot of work when comboed with somebody, so just using it defensively, I don't like. So, Self-Destruct here manages to get the Ana, I think because Reinhardt got hacked in time? Yes, just in time, and Ana was hiding behind, Reinhardt at the time. She did move forward when she didn't need to. I assume she was afraid of getting line of sighted by Reinhardt right here, because he is running forward, and it looks like he might go through the pillar on the left, or he might follow them up the staircase. So she was probably afraid of getting line of sighted, and started running after him early, but that ended up leading to her dying to self-destruct. Now the boys in blue are missing both of their healers, so not exactly favored in the fight. But the Red Menace, they're not exactly doing a good job of focusing targets down and just killing them, so the boys in blue are managing to stick it out and just kind of brawl it out all the same. Lucio's managed to get back now, killed Pharah, Lucio's still on the point. Sombra's not here to hack him right now, so he stalls it out for a while, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And now, just gotta rush onto the point. McCree's managed to get on the point to stall it out, but we know, we can see how it's gonna go from this point. Farah can try again, because she's about to have her ultimate, but they're ready for it this time. Doesn't work a second time. She did try, though. She did try, though. So, unfortunately, we can't get as much out of that round as we'd like to, because we missed probably the most important fight, to be honest with you. Though, and now we got goats going at goats, so this is going to be very exciting. So the boys in blue have elected to change their team comp slightly, because now they've gone goats with Sombra instead of a third tank, instead of Zarya specifically. And the comment that's about to pop up is kind of talking about that, and is basically like, you know, really fucking long. But it amounted to questionable choice because Zarya is good, is about the extent of it, right at the start, which was the bit cut off. And I'll say I understand why they picked Sombra, because I was already advocating for a Sombra pick in the last round as one of the options. And given they knew what the Red Menace ran previously, they can assume they were going to pick something roughly similar to it. And Sombra is still the GOAT's counter, pretty much. So I think the Sombra pick is fine. I don't know that I would have replaced the Zarya specifically with it. I would have been more inclined to replace one of the supports or the Diva. I wouldn't have replaced the Zarya, but I understand why they have elected to pick Sombra, because she is a counter to the comp they were just previously running, so understandable choice, fair enough. So, right at the start, the Red Menace are going to go up on top. The boys in blue have gone on the point. Sombra's going around the backhand side. There is a comment I'm going to talk about coming up in a second here, because Sombra's kind of behind, and Sombra manages to hack the Red Menace's Lucio. And there's a comment, it's coming up. Lucio was hacked but not pounced on. What I would like to point out, if we go back further, is that the boys in blue have already committed to a target by the time Sombra did that. Because we can see right now, the boys in blue are diving on somebody over there. Lucio just got hacked. No, he's just getting hacked right now, right as Diva's going over there to jump in as well. So, worth pointing out, yeah, Lucio got hacked and didn't get pounced on by the team, but the boys in blue had already picked somebody to pounce on, so it's not like they can suddenly pivot and backpedal all the way over here to Lucio now. So, yeah, true, unfortunate, but I would say it's more just the timing on the hack on Lucio, because the boys in blue had already committed to it, so she could have tried to find somebody else or wait to hack when the team is in a better position to capitalize on it, because it was more of a timing thing to me. So the boys in blue are sitting over at the choke point trying to push their way in. They did manage to pick off Brigitte, and Zenyatta got slept, but where did he get put to sleep? Because he doesn't die. Where's Zen? Oh, Zen's behind the boys in blue right now. And they didn't kill it, because that's Zen over there, isn't it? Is that not Zen? Am I crazy? Zen's name Jordo. No, that's Zen. So, the boys in blue have just not noticed that Zenyatta's right fucking here. Zenyatta's just gotten completely split off from his team right here. And they didn't notice. Anna's noticed now, and that's why he gets tranked. And they don't kill him? He doesn't die. That's unbelievable. That's A, unbelievable, but also, like, unexcusable at the same time. Like, Zenyatta is just so badly out of position. And he is not just collapsed on right there and killed. He gets tranked, but he doesn't get finished off. And if they finish off Zenyatta right now as well, all the Red Menace have got at that point is Lucio, which is not enough. And they should lose the round from that point, but, or lose the point, rather, from there. But, no, Zen just gets away. Wow. Yeah, so this is the part of the video later on where, like, I can't tell what's happening anymore, because all we can see is the silhouettes. I can't see the red silhouettes on this map. So all I see is a bunch of blue people floating around over there. I don't know what the red team's doing, except for Zenyatta. And now, oh look, we're gonna open our fucking options right fucking now. Oh look, the team fight looks like it's largely over at this point. Oh, great. Oh, the boys in blue lost. Oh, wonderful. I heard ultimates happening. I don't know what happened though, so you know, that was cool. That was nice. That was excellent right there. I still can't really believe Zenyatta didn't die. I'm really upset about that. Like, two of their team were even trying to deal with Sombra at the time as well. That's incredible. Anyway, alright, so we're coming into a new fight right now. I was very distracted right there because I was busy being upset about several things. I was just looking at the ult charge, but there isn't much to say about it, to be honest with you. So, poke back and forth, just hacked everybody on the Red Menace. Earthshatter... Boys, he used Earthshatter? Did he hit anybody with it? He used it right here. He did actually. He managed to get it through the gap right there in the middle. Sick. Alright, so he did manage to hit some people with the Earth Shatter. And then, hey, Emp Earth Shatter. Look at that. Let's go. Bridget used Rally, which was overkill at that point. The Emp and Shatter were already huge. Didn't need to use Rally at the same time. Not the worst ultimate to overuse, but, you know, you don't want to overuse ultimate still. So, unfortunate, because now as well, they're just going to chip it off. So, you know. Not the worst ultimate to overexpend, but still, you know, unnecessary. So yeah, so Reinhardt just died. Reinhardt was hitting Winston. Did he get stun locked? He got stun locked and died. So just overreaches a little bit. Rally, their Red Menace's Sombra did just use, or Sombra, Jesus Christ. The Red Menace's Bridget just used Rally. So one could assume they're going to try and engage at this point, and you really don't want to be that far up when you're playing versus somebody that's got hard crowd control like that, so they just immediately burst Reinhardt to death off the stun. And at that point, you know, things aren't exactly looking good. D.Va decides to use her ult, chucks it too high, also wouldn't have done it regardless, because it wasn't, like, you know... When you lose your Reinhardt that quickly, it's not exactly looking good. Bridget also dies, but that was slightly afterwards. Like, at that point, I think I'd rather just save it, because self-destruct is not an ultimate that's really likely to turn a team fight back in your favor. Might have done if, you know, it managed to hit more people, but I wasn't particularly excited about it. I would have rather saved it for the next fight all the same, because it didn't look particularly likely to work. So, you know, what stands out to me the most from this game, really, is just that the boys in blue... I would be interested to know what they're talking about exactly over there, because I wonder how certain things didn't get worked out. Like, I wonder about the Zenyatta part specifically, how, like, I wonder if Anna said anything, you know? Like, I wonder exactly what happened there. So I would be curious to know what exactly they're talking about, because they do feel a little just kind of aimless at the same time. You feel? Like, it didn't feel, like they had an especially firm idea of what they were going for. So I would be interested to know what they were talking about, but we can't do that, unfortunately. What stands out the most, other than some of that stuff, is just, like, Reinhardt overstepped his boundaries a couple of times, like, very minorly, all things considered, but that's how positioning is at the same time, isn't it? Because that fight with at the first check, on the first point, like, it was looking good for the boys in blue, but Reinhardt just barely overstepped, got line of sighted from Anna, and then she wasn't able to catch up by the time she regained line of sight to him past Winston's bubble. so he ends up dying. So he oversteps just slightly, and it leads to him dying. And then right there at the end, pretty much like the team fight that lost them the game, he goes slightly too far up, gets stunned by Bridget, and bursted to death. So Reinhardt, a little bit overly eager in situations, not even a huge amount, literally just a difference of a few feet really led to him dying, and that's how positioning is sometimes. So that's kind of what stood out the most to me in that game. Yeah, the Red Menace, they just felt like they had a much firmer understanding of what their team comp was trying to accomplish, really, is what it felt like. They felt like they knew what they were trying to do, and they did it, whereas the boys in blue felt more aimless. Not necessarily aimless, but they felt like they just didn't have a firm of an understanding of what their comp was good for. You know? You feel me? So, there you go. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them or just shitpost with us. I've started streaming on Twitch. There's a link in the description. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. EST. Come hang out, we'll have a good time, play some video games, or, you know, shitpost, basically. I wonder if it'll record this. We'll find out. We'll find out later. Yeah, that's basically all I do is shitpost anyway, so there you go. And if you managed to make it all this way through the video and enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future, and I hope you found the video helpful.